Hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is Shay Michelle, and I'm so happy that you are joining me today. Basically today's video is going to be about studying and making notes and things like that. So to give you a gist of who I am and all of that jazz, I just finished my first semester of medical school here at USC, and I'm starting my second semester. First time in LA, a lot of first times really. And yeah, basically this is a very requested video, and so I've been delaying it because I felt I personally didn't really have a study strategy, note-taking strategy down pat. So I didn't want to come on here and just say, do what you want. But I think I have a better grasp on it, and honestly a better grasp on like how to determine what's best for you. So I wanted to come and make this video, and ultimately I hope you guys enjoy. So let's get right into it. Before I go directly into my notes and show you exactly what I do, I think one of my first steps in determining, how I'm going to study or how I'm going to take my notes for this block. So when I say block, I mean like this unit. So for example, I just took my cardiology test, and next I have pulmonary, then I have the renal system, and so it's clumped up by body parts. But basically, as soon as I know what I'm doing, the first thing I do is I kind of like go on my laptop and I try to see the format of the block, right? So some of them have more, some of them have a lot more labs, and aka when I say labs, I mean like microanatomy, so a lot more images and pathology involved. Sorry, my Hulu TV show came on. Back to scheduled programming. Some of them have a lot more labs and images involved, and some of them, are a lot more just random repetition and just random facts. I don't want to say random, but things that don't really intertwine. For example, like our bugs and drugs unit, aka like infectious diseases. That was a lot more different diseases that don't really intertwine and have very different specific facts about them. And then some things, really intertwine pretty well and don't have that many distinct components to them, like cardiology. I personally felt like the cardiology unit kind of intertwined very well. That's kind of one of the first things I do when determining what I'm going to do for this unit, to allow me to figure out how I'm going to study, how I'm going to make notes. After that, I say like gather your resources. And so when I say gather your resources, a lot of people use third-party resources, especially in medical school. So for example, for my infectious diseases unit that had a lot more of the random facts that didn't really intertwine in the different diseases, I use this platform called Sketchy. This is not any type of advertisement for anybody. I just want to put that out there. I'm just honestly telling you guys what I use, and I'll have like different links below so you guys can see, the things that are provided and stuff. But Sketchy is cool because Sketchy basically has these images, and they use the images to describe like the disease, right? And so for example, this may seem super random, but I have this vivid memory of staph epidermis, right? And so the thing about epidermis is that it's like coagulates negative, and so like one of them has urea, right? And so it has like this spray bottle on the desk inside of the image with like NH3 on it, right? And so you're probably like, that makes no sense, but it actually helps a ton, because in medical school, you'll hear a lot of people say you become a dictionary, but I currently really do feel like a random dictionary of facts. And so this is almost the best way for you to remember things, because it's a lot easier to remember images and pictures than it is to just remember, random facts you have to pull from like thin air. So I would use that for things that I don't necessarily see intertwining that much. And another thing I use a lot is Boards and Beyond. That's like one of the top resources. A ton of students use it. And so I would say for this past unit, cardiology unit, I used Boards and Beyond more than I used my lectures, honestly. I love it because it's like 10-20 minute videos that are straight to the point of what you need to know for like the said unit or whatever you're working with. And so I really like that platform, because sometimes I would substitute my 2-hour lecture for a 20-minute video. So you guys can do the math. Another resource that I'm putting out there, because I just started using it, is this first aid book. This is like the famous first aid book, but it's also, I'm not studying for first aid yet. I'm not studying for step 1 yet, but this is a really, really, really good resource when it comes to just like having a second opinion on what you're learning. So for example, I just randomly, that's kind of funny, I randomly scrolled to the cardiovascular section, and so it has like images and stuff like that. So this is also good because it's almost like, I would call it more of like an encyclopedia, where you can like distinctly be like, okay, someone remind me what ventricular septal defect was, and I can like, bam, go straight to it, no questions asked, rather than some of these other resources. For example, Poison Beyond, like it's a video, so you don't know where it was mentioned in the video, and Sketchy, another video. So this is much more straight, simple, to the point. So that's kind of in general how I attack learning the material. And so from there, while I learn it, I take notes. So let's dive straight into my iPad. Now I'm giving you a glimpse of my home screen for my iPad, okay? And so you can see I have the things that aren't inside of actual folders is Notability, Good Notes, Anki, which is kind of on top of writing, so you can't really see it, OneNote, and Slack. And sorry, my iPad is almost dead. But the main platform I use is Good Notes, and so I'm doing this. I kind of have like cool images for all of my different units, so I like to have like different images per thing. But I'm showing you to say that I like kind of make my notes distinctly. And so for example, for cardiovascular, I'm not going to sit here and say I make, you know, distinct notes per se, but one thing I do like about Notability is I can insert images from lectures or videos and then like directly write on them, right? So example, we were learning EKGs, so I can write like up, down, what stuff means, all of that. Okay. And then also, shameless plug for my vlogs. If you guys watch my vlogs, you can kind of see me make these notes in action. So then it may make a little bit more sense than me just kind of randomly spewing to you how I make my notes, you know? And so another big thing I like to show, just to show you guys the discrepancy in notes, is, for example, with cardio, I told you I watched a lot of videos and I just made notes on it. And so I like, for example, one of the Boards and Beyond videos was heart sounds, and this was the name of it. And then I would just make my notes for it. And then I did a few sketchy videos. So I have like the sketchy images and things on here. So this is just like, I prefer personally to have images and then write about them, because it's a lot easier for me to remember images than it is for me to just remember random facts with no connection whatsoever. And then another conflicting thing to kind of show you guys what I did was, you see a lot of charts. So this was hematology. And actually, I don't think I'm going to go into hematology. But another big resource I would say on here is charts. If you have things that, you know, all have these differing viewpoints, but simultaneously have the same categories. So for example, you can see I wrote microcytic anemias, and this is kind of empty. So on this, we'll look at normocytic anemias. They all have the smears, and so they all have different things. So for example, if something has a membrane defect, then we'll see spherocytes, rather than if someone has a hemoglobin deficiency, we'll see target cells. And you're probably like, what is this girl talking about? And Notability has a pointer. So here's like spherocytes, and here are target cells. But this is a good way to kind of see the different things. And it's a good way for me to, if I were to be given an image in a test or in a homework assignment or something, I could say, okay, what am I looking at? So let's see. For example, we can see there's two things of target cells. And so it goes with beta and alpha thalassemia. And so then, as long as I know I'm in this category, it's easier for me to say, oh, am I dealing with beta thalassemia or alpha thalassemia based on what's in the labs. So yeah, I'm like a chart person. And then I wanted to show you guys my famous bacteria notes. So this is what I used for the things to me that had varying facts that just did not coincide. And so as you can see, it's just like charts and graphs and anything you can literally imagine. But this is going to say that with notes, you have to remember that the ultimate goal is to be flexible and just kind of adjust with the material, because not every single unit or class is going to be taught the same. And so I think a big thing for me was realizing like I need notes because I need to write information down. If I don't write it down just because I watched it in a video, I'm not going to be able to retain it personally. So as you can see, I probably have hundreds of pages of notes when we just like look at it. But yeah, in general, I would say like my study strategy would be kind of to realize what I'm learning and how it's being taught. And then from there, determine what are my external resources. Because currently, like day by day, I'm depending more and more and more on external resources. And then based on how that information is being given to me, I determine how I'm going to make my notes. But all in all, I make notes regardless, just because I want to, you know, be able to like write it down and quickly reference it. But I just wanted to give you a gist of all of the different study resources I use, because I use a ton. And that's okay also, as long as you're getting the information. No one really cares what you do and how you do it. Beyond that, I would say, okay, how do I actually study? I think the way that I genuinely study from there is I try to make my notes while class is happening. So then technically as soon as my like school day is out, whether it's noon, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., I can technically be done making my notes. So I like to make my notes when class is happening, just because I think that's the most attentive I'm going to be. And then what I'm trying to do, I 100% have not been perfect at this, but I'm trying to do it, is at the end of each day, I try to spend 1 to 2 hours just reviewing my notes. And then from there, I'm gonna have another video on my morning routine, but from there, I like to use the morning. So like I would then use the next morning to go through my flashcards on the material I learned the day before. So it's almost like I kind of jam packing that material and going through so much repetition within a 24-hour time span, just to make sure I solidify it. And then if I keep doing that in a way in my mind, I think that by the end of the week, when I go to review every single thing I did that week, it's a lot easier to recall it at that point, because I spent so much time on each piece of information. Yeah, that's just about the gist of how I try to like do the repetition. So the amount of times I see the information basically would be like one time in lecture / making my notes, right? Another time doing my flashcards in the morning, and then another time on the weekend when I review my material. And so that in itself is 3 times. They always say third time's the charm in multiple ways, because this is my third time trying to film this video, but everything keeps dying. Basically, I try to have 3 passes of the information, and from there, you know, we hope we got it. But yeah, no, I'm actually trying to refine my memorization techniques. But in general, I guess just to give you a gist in this video, before I make like a separate video on it, to memorize, one, you know, these aren't outlandish things, but I think images and pictures really work well, because I don't know if anyone's like me, but if I make like a chart or something, I can physically, you know, in a test remember like where a piece of information was on that chart, and then from there kind of retain the information. And then I would say, if you're an auditory learner, which one of my friends really is, make sure you find study groups, because there's a ton of people that love to talk out information, and from there they remember it. I'm personally not like that, but there are people like that. And so I will say though, once I know the information, it's good for me when it comes to practice to verbally say it. So I think no matter what type of learner you are, verbally saying what you know is always a positive, because it just helps solidify the information in your mind and kind of like those details. And that just, I think that, you know, if you're probably watching this video, you're at a point where you know what type of learner you are, or you're figuring it out. And so one, if you don't know what type of learner you are, I would say take this time to realize like what helps you remember things the most. You know, what is that one thing you go to when you're like, okay, I need to know this? Whether it's like, let me make some notes that I can read, let me go talk to someone so I can verbally say it. Teaching someone is always a positive. In anatomy, what me and a group of friends would do is anytime we would go to the lab, like literally people would just be like, oh, can I teach you this? Even though I already know it, I'd be like, yeah, because one, it's not gonna hurt me to hear the information again, and it's only gonna help them to say it. So I feel like, you know, make sure you surround yourself with people who are low-key like that, because it has definitely helped me being able to just say, oh, can I teach you this? Someone will ask me a question, a really easy question that's like a 2-word answer, but I'm like, wait, can I like go more in depth? And so I like to phrase it like that, because you don't want to start explaining something and someone's like, I know. Like, I know you know, but this is more so to help me than to help you. That's like the gist of all of, you know, how I like to study and how I like to memorize things. I'll probably make a part 2 to this once I finish this school year, because, you know, my studying techniques will probably be a lot more refined by that point in my like medical journey. But as of now, this is kind of like what I do and how I like to figure out what I'm doing. But stay tuned for my vlogs. Make sure if you want to see me kind of in action trying to figure out what to do, watch my vlogs, because I kind of discuss that process each unit. Again, thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So here are my whiteboards. There's 2. We have a humongous one and then we have a little one. I should have showed you guys when I had all my cardiology notes, but now this wall has 3 whiteboards. You know, we're trying to get smart over here.